So in this video, we're going to talk about functions, which is a really a great time-saving thing. Basically, what we're going to be doing is I want to find an average of two numbers, right? So pretty simple calculation, and we totally know how to do this a different way, but we're trying to build a new skill here. So if I want to find the average, I need to first get two numbers. So here are the two numbers I'm going to ask from the user, right? And I'm just going to use integers. Of course, you could use float there too. Okay, so I asked them for their two numbers. Now, typically how I would have this is I would have the output right away, but I'm going to kind of change this up a little bit. I'm going to do something before I even start my code. Right? And this is the function. And so copy this down, and then I will explain what it is. So this is my new function. And my new function, just like math, any function that you've ever had, there's inputs and outputs. So I need a way of calculating or of telling it what the inputs are going to be. So whatever I put in these brackets, those are going to be the inputs. So I'm going to have my first input and then my second input. Okay. Now I need to determine what my output's going to be. Now I'm just making a variable here. I could call that whatever I want to call it, but I'm calling it output because it helps me kind of like keep track of what's going on, right? You could name your variables all sorts of crazy things, but I think if you just have like a pretty clear, concise, and intuitive kind of naming, it'll help you out. Okay, so my output, I want to find the average. So basically, if I give it two numbers, what do we want to have happen? Well, I just want to take that first input and I want to add it to that second input and then divide by 2, right? Okay, and then we need to finish my new function. So I'm going to return. And so if I put in a couple of inputs, what do I want to have it spit back out? Well, I want to spit back the output. That's what I figured out. Okay, you put this before your code because Python's basically going to read this from the top to the bottom, and it's going to need to learn what my new function is first. So that way, when I refer to it down here in the code, it knows what I'm talking about. It's probably best practice to just make a clear line of like, okay, above this line are functions. They're not doing anything actually in the program, like like they're not gonna, it's like the behind the scenes stuff, much like the head area in HTML and CSS, right? Okay, so let's use this thing. So now what I want to do is I want to print something off, right? I want to print something off. I'm going to print, what do I want to print? Okay, so your A is so those are A values and B values, so I want to have that as A, B. Okay? And then I want to print, so the average is. Okay. Now, we've got a little bit of an issue here because I don't know exactly what to put in those parentheses to finish it off. Because when I started, so far I've got the two A and B values, but I never referred them back into my new function. So I want this to be like the answer to the question, right? So I have to define answer up here. Okay. So the question is, how do I get these two inputs up into here? Well, what I want to say is the answer is going to be my new function, and my new function has two inputs. So I have to tell it what the two inputs are. In my case, it's going to be A and B. Okay. And so it's going to get the A value, B value, and it's going to say, okay, you know what to do with that A and B value? Plug them into my new function. So it's going to zip up here, and it's going to say, oh, A must be my first input and B must be my second input. So it automatically renames them. It's going to perform the calculation. It's going to set that calculation equal to output and give me back the output. And when it gives me back the output, you can imagine this just becoming the output, right? So if I plugged in like 3 and 5, it's going to do 3 plus 5 is 8, divide by 2, and so my output will be 4. So this whole thing will be 4, and I'll set my answer equal to 4. And then I'm going to print my answer. Theoretically, this should all work, but we'll have to check it on Python to see what we got going on. Oh, of course I messed up something. Define my new function. I think I need that right there. Okay, so what's your first number? Let's use that 3 and 5 example. 3, 5, okay, perfect. Now I have, I've got it. I've got the average right there. A couple things to note here. If we had, let's say I would have put this right here. If I had my output as the first input, right? Think how this would change it. So now if they ask me what the A and the B is, right? Let's say I have 5 and 7. So this will be 5 and 7. So it's going to say first input, second input. It's going to do this calculation, and then it's just going to return the first input. So if I put 5 and 7 in, if I return the first input, I'm going to get back a 5. Let's make sure that that happens. So what's your first number? 5. What's your second number? 7. Oh boy. Something went wrong. Let me see if I can trace it. You know what went wrong? My like first grade level of spelling. So yeah, first input. Yeah, input. All right. So of course I spit back the wrong thing. So now what I want to do is do this. I'm returning my first input back to me, which is not really a super helpful thing for me to do. So if I type in 5 and 7, when I do this, it should my function should just send me back that 5. So that's something to be to make sure you're returning the right thing. Okay, this becomes handy because if you have a calculation where you're doing a lot of averaging or whatever, you can really save yourself a lot of time. Right? So let's say I didn't have just that. I had maybe I want to do the average twice. Well, if I did it the other way, I would have to keep redoing all the average in my code every single time I wanted to take an average. Now I can just refer back to this and say, oh, I want to do it again, except for I want my third and fourth number. I'm just going to call those C and D, and it's going to do that same average with them again. And I'm just going to call this answer 2 now. And so now I'm going to print off answer 2. So let's see how that works. So I got my first number, 3 and 5, and my third number, 6 and 10. So I should get back 4 and 8. 4 and 8. Awesome. I could even take the average of my average, like the global average, right? And have that be my new function, and I'm going to plug in answer 2, right? So you see how fast this can build on itself and grow. So now I'm taking the average of both of these two ones, and I keep referring back to that function. So that's the basics of functions. They're there to help you save time and clear up your code.